What's next for Tom Aspinall? That's what I'm going to talk about in today's video. But just as a quick side note, I know I did a reaction video to this fight on Saturday, but what a legend Tom Aspinall is. We find out after the fact, and I didn't know this at the time, barely trained at all for the fight, had a back injury, almost had to pull out. This is going to go down as one of the all-time best performances in UFC history. Like, I'm blown away. Like, Tom Aspinall is the man. I think that's so cool that he had to overcome all this and still went out there and got the win over Sergey Pavlovich, who a lot of people going in said, I heard from a lot of different people, go look on the pros picks. A lot of people thought that Pavlovich was going to knock his lights out, and Aspinall not only avoided that, he got the finish himself. So kudos to Tom Aspinall. But the big question, like I said, what is next for him? And the title of this video is the title of a video I've made a number of times, and that opponent will not be Jon Jones. And that's what I wanted to talk about here. So first, let's talk about something that I haven't talked about in other videos, but check out the tweet here from Jon Jones after the fight. Tom, congratulations on the interim heavyweight championship belt. That was an awesome performance. No word of him fighting Tom Aspinall. No word of him saying, hey, can't wait to get my hands on you or anything like that. There was no word of that. Meanwhile, we've seen him say that about Francis. So if this isn't telling, I don't know what is. I've done other videos on this. I did a whole slew of videos talking about why Jon Jones won't fight Sergey Pavlovich, and I had all these people saying, oh man, it's going to happen. It's going to happen. Well, it's not going to happen now. It's especially not going to happen now with Pavlovich losing. But look, if Jon wanted to fight Aspinall, he would have put something in this tweet for sure. I've said this before. Jon's going to retire after he fights Stipe. There's no question about that. And there's listen, I know people don't like the fight and they think it's clogging up the division. How about we look at it this way? How about we look at the fact that the belt that Tom Aspinall won on Saturday is the real belt? This Jon Jones and Stipe fight, it's like a featured fight. It's like a novelty fight. Yes, technically Jon is the champion here, but I think most people know that if Jon was really the champion, he would have fought Tom Aspinall, or Stipe would have stepped in to fight Aspinall, and he didn't do that. Well, actually, I guess Stipe would have had to fight Pavlovich, but you understand what I'm saying here. To my opinion, the real heavyweight champion is Tom Aspinall, because we're of the belief, and I think it's going to prove to be true, that Jon will retire after this fight, like I mentioned. And listen, a lot of people are complaining about the Jon Jones Stipe fight. I get their grievances. Look, if we're going off merit, that fight doesn't make a lot of sense, but I'm going to put this in a different perspective for you here. So if Jon Jones beats Stipe, which I think most people agree he will beat Stipe, it's an easier fight, and he's fighting someone that is considered the greatest heavyweight of all time. Now, that will not, in my opinion, make Jon the best heavyweight of all time, but he at the very least can say that, hey, if I beat Stipe, I beat one of the best heavyweights of all time. If he fights Aspinall, will he have those same accolades? Absolutely not. Is Aspinall a harder fight? Absolutely. What does Jon gain from fighting Tom Aspinall? That's the thing that a lot of people got to realize. If you look at Jon's legacy, and I know there's a lot of newer fans here, because trust me, I see it in the comments, but people don't remember how dominant Jon was at light heavyweight. He's got nothing else to prove. Like, he's not going to stick around and try and be the best heavyweight of all time. He's going to try and get a quick win over Stipe, like I said, and just go out there and get the win. And, he probably is going to end up beating Stipe. I don't think there's many people out there picking Stipe in that matchup. But, I mean, look at this resume here. Just outstanding, the amount of wins that he's had. So, I mean, you can't take away what Jon has done at light heavyweight. Yes, I know there's the steroids and all that stuff, whatever. Just in general, Jon Jones has had an incredible career, and there's no reason for him to try and carve out another career at heavyweight at 36 years of age. It's not going to get much better for him there. So that's kind of the reason I understand why Jon wants to fight. And on the flip side for Stipe, right, he doesn't want to fight Tom Aspinall because, like, there's no, like, it's a hard fight. At least if he fights Jones, Jones is a huge name. The thing that people got to remember here is Tom Aspinall just won the title. Hardcore fans know who Tom Aspinall is. Casual fans do not. Maybe they do after Saturday, but for the most part, a lot of people don't know who Tom Aspinall is. Casual fans know who Stipe and Jones is. So that's how it's a benefit for both. Jones fights a guy who's an easier fight, and he's got more name recognition, and it's probably a win for him here. If Jon fights Aspinall now, I don't know if it's a guaranteed win. In fact, I think it's a 50-50 fight. I know the odds did come out on a potential Jon Jones and Tom Aspinall fight. Jon was the favorite. I would take Tom Aspinall at plus money right now for a variety of reasons, but that's a video for another day. And then for Stipe, like, do you want to be on the highlight reel of an up-and-comer? That's essentially what Tom is now. I know he's a title holder, but also Tom's relatively new to the casual fan base. If you sort of look at it that way, it's kind of like what they're doing on a way, way, way lesser scale with Paddy and Tony, where they're trying to use Tony's name to build up Paddy. Stipe doesn't want to be a name that Tom Aspinall is building off his legacy, as he just has one title defense. Does that make sense? That's kind of what I'm looking at. And I'm not comparing Tom Aspinall to Paddy Pimblett. I'm just talking about how Paddy is not like a household name, so to speak. Tony Ferguson is. So Paddy's trying to get a win over Tony to kind of give him that rub. That's kind of what I'm talking about there. So I understand why Jones and Stipe do not want to fight each other. So the point of this video is not just to talk about why I don't think Jones will fight Tom Aspinall, but it's actually what I think will end up happening. So I'm going to tell you what I think should happen, and then I'm going to tell you what I think will happen. This is what I think should happen. what I think should happen is I think Cyril Gane and Jailton Almeida should fight each other. Cyril Gane is coming off a win, very impressive over Sergey Spivak. Jailton Almeida is coming off a win over Derek Lewis. Take your time. There's no rush to get Tom Aspinall back in there. He just took this fight on 2 weeks' notice with an injury. Give him some time, lots of prep, and then he can fight at the midpoint of next year. I'm fine with that. That would be totally cool with me because honestly, I don't think there's a clear-cut contender. Gane's fought for the title I don't know how many times, right? So there's that. You've got Jailton Almeida, who did get a win in his last fight, but it wasn't, I mean, it was dominant, but he didn't finish Derek Lewis. And I think had he finished Lewis, there would be more of a case for a title shot. I think Jailton Almeida needs another fight here. Curtis Blaydes is injured and coming off a loss. Pavlovich just lost. So that's kind of what I think should happen. Now, what will happen? I have a feeling that Cyril Gane's going to end up fighting Tom Aspinall. And here's why. We got UFC 300 coming up next year. They're going to stack that card. The UFC has to put pay-per-views on. They have to put marquee events on outside of that. They're probably going to use Tom for a London card or something, but they're going to probably have him fight outside of UFC 100 and get him back in there as soon as possible. Well, who's the only one available? It's Cyril Gane. I just have a hard time seeing them give the title shot to Almeida because he went the distance with Lewis, or at least with Cyril Gane, he got a finish in his last fight. I have a feeling they're going to end up doing Gane and Tom Aspinall next. So we'll see. We'll see if my hunch comes true here. I'm not entirely sure what they're going to end up doing, but I think that's a fight that could make sense because there's just no one else available, right? Like, I don't think you do Volkov and Aspinall. Like, they already fought. Like, Aspinall's pretty much fought everyone here, right? So, and then you're dipping outside of the top 5 as far as the next opponent. The UFC's impatient. They are trying to put events on as much as they can. I've told you this. They do too many events. And I think as a result of that, they're going to probably end up giving Gane Tom Aspinall next. And I still maintain Jon Jones will not fight Tom Aspinall. I think Jon Jones' last fight's against Stipe. They'll probably save that for UFC 300, and they'll probably put Aspinall on another card. I don't know when they're going back to London. There's no dates booked, but I could see like a London fight, and that would make sense too. Gane's from Paris. It's not that far from London. You could do, Cyril Gane bring all the French fans over to the UK. Tom Aspinall defends his title, which I think will end up being the real title in the end. Actually, it might not be. Maybe they fight before Jones, and they still call it an interim title defense, which I believe Henan Barrow did, right? If I'm not mistaken. I think they do that, and then they'll just turn that into the real belt. Because then the UFC will be all surprised and be like, oh, John's actually retiring. Okay, well, we'll just make Tom the real champ, right? I think that's what's going to end up happening. I think they have to keep the Jon Jones and Stipe fight as a title fight so they can sell it to the fans as saying it's a title fight. Because there'll be casual fans. Like, I had a guy the other day be like, hey, Jon Jones, when's he coming back? I'm like, dude, he fought in March. Like, that's what I mean. The casual fan, all they see is title fight, and they're like, wow, this is the title fight. Meanwhile, I bet there's casual fans out there who don't even know that Tom Aspinall won the title on Saturday. There's probably people like that. So you have to think of it that way. You can't just be in this hardcore bubble that we're in and just think that's how the business works. The UFC has to cater to the casual fans. I think that's kind of where they're going with there. So that's my call right now. I'm going to say it. Jon Jones does not fight Tom Aspinall. Jon Jones fights Stipe, retires, win or lose. Doesn't matter. I mean, I don't think he's going to lose to Stipe. And then Tom fights Cyril Gane. I don't think he should fight Cyril Gane next. I think Gane should fight Almeida, and the winner of that should fight Tom. But like I said, the UFC's in a hurry to make title fights happen because they have to fill these cards up. So don't be surprised if it's Cyril Gane next. Follow me on Twitter, TikTok, Instagram, @Lynch on Sports. I'm James Lynch. If you like this video, leave a comment, leave a like, all that stuff. I'm James Lynch. I'll see you next time. I already said that, but thanks so much for watching. If you have any other video ideas, let me know. I've been trying to get these out as much as I can when I have stuff to talk about. So appreciate you tuning in, and I'll talk to you soon.